Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be working with the Simon Says Stamp December 2017 card kit. Here I'm going to give you a quick look at what came in the kit. So jumping right into card number 1, I'm going to use my MFT Blueprints 32 frame die to trim out a background from this green polka dot paper. Then I'll attach that to the top of my card base using my ATG gun. I've trimmed off a strip of the pattern paper, and I'm going to use that across the bottom and then also a piece of the cut-aparts. So I was going to just attach that strip at the bottom there, and then I thought it needed something more to give it a little bit of a pop. So I went into my stash and I found this scrap of MFT's Dill Pickle cardstock. So I'm just going to leave a little border edge along that, and then I will go ahead and trim around. So I'm just leaving that green on the top edge of this piece that I've cut apart. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and add some ATG gun to the back of that, and I'll place it on the front of my card. For that small little square with the cake on it, I'm going to pop that up using some Scotch foam tape. Then for the inside of the card, this was also one of the cut apart sentiments. It says, "Have a sweet Christmas." I'm just going to add a banner edge there. And I'll attach that on the inside of the card. Then for a final touch on the front, I'm going to use some Nuvo drops. This color is Red Berry, and I've just added that on top of the cherry on the cake. And I'm also going to use my Spectrum Noir shimmer pen and just go over that icing. And that will complete card number 1. For card number 2, I wanted to use this Santa panel, and I had originally used one of my Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle dies to cut it out, but I didn't like the red edges on the long ends of it. So I just decided to go ahead and trim around that. And then here I'm going to attach it to my card base using my ATG gun. And then as I was looking at this, the ornaments on the wreath and the tree, they just seemed perfect to me to use with that sequin mix that came in the kit. So here I'm going to dump that out, and there were lots of different sizes, so it actually was pretty easy to find some that would correspond with the ornaments. They were a little too big for the wreath, but they worked great for the tree. So I'm just going to choose which ones I'm going to put on there, and then I will go ahead and attach those using some of the teeny tiny glue dots. And that will complete card number 2. Card number 3 is not really Christmassy, but I really loved this milk and cookie theme, and I thought this would make a really cute encouragement card. So I am using a Fisker's tool. I got this from my mom. I'm not sure if they even make it anymore. I think it's called a crimper. I am going to look online and I'll see if I can find a link for you. But basically you just stick any piece of paper through there and it will give you that corrugated look. So I have done that with a scrap piece of craft cardstock, and then I trimmed that down to 2 inches. I used some ATG to attach it to the front of the card base and then went ahead and trimmed off the excess. Then I've grabbed a length of some pink and white baker's twine, and I'm just wrapping that around twice, and I'll go ahead and tie that in a bow. Then here I'm going to again take one of those squares and I'll pop that up with some Scotch foam tape. And then once I got that down, I wanted to add a little something extra. So I'm going to go over to the stickers that were included in the kit, and I'm just going to add the glass of milk right on top of that there. It's perfect, same size. And then one additional cookie there to make a set of 3. On the inside, I've again got one of those strips that I cut apart from the full sheet of paper, and I'm just going to attach that. And then I thought this sentiment was so cute, "You're one smart cookie." I'm just going to attach that underneath there. And that will complete card number 3. So for card number 4, I had this idea of creating a chimney that Santa could slide up and down in. So I'm starting here with a card base made from MFT's Night Shift Blue cardstock. And here I'm trimming out my chimney. Then I'm going to take some MFT Steel Gray cardstock and I'm going to use that to create the slope of my roof. So I'm just sort of playing around with the design here. And then once I have an angle that I'm happy with, I'm going to attach some ATG gun to the back of that, and then I'll place that down on the card base. Then I'll go ahead and I'm just going to trim off the excess around there. I then trimmed down my chimney slightly. I made that 2 inches wide. And here I'm just measuring out the length of that. And the final measurements of the chimney are 2 by 2 3/4 inches. Here I've got some scrap white cardstock and I'm going to stamp Santa on that. This measures 1 3/4 inches wide, and I'm stamping him out using Simon Says Stamp Intense black ink. Now I've spared you the coloring in the video here because I've used the basic Santa colors, but I will list the exact Prismacolors I use on my blog post. Now I'm going to create this chimney and the channel that the Santa slider is going to fit into. So I'm using Stampin' Up's foam strips, and I'm just making sure that this piece is going to fit all right in there, and it does fit just about perfectly. So there I've created sort of my U that Santa's going to slide in and out of. And then here I'm going to double check that so you'll see how that is going to work. I'm going to peel off the backing then, and I'll go ahead and place that on the card front. So there I've just measured off the length that I wanted the slider part to be. And once I'm happy with that, I went ahead and grabbed some extra red ribbon that I had in my stash, just cut off a small length of that, looped it around itself, and used my Tim Holtz tiny attacher with 2 staples there to add that to the top, just to make it easier to pull. Then I wanted to put some snow or stars in the sky. They could be either. So I'm using my Signo Uniball white gel pen and just adding some dots there. Then I wanted to add a little bit more glitter, so I'm going again back to these sequins. They're shaped like snowflakes that I picked up at Target. And I'm going to attach a few of those throughout the night sky using multi-matte medium. For the inside of the card, I'm using a Nina panel trimmed to 4x5 1/4. I've chosen the sentiment Merry Christmas, and I'm going to stamp that out using Lawn Fawn's Lobster ink. Then I'll go ahead and use my ATG gun to attach that on the inside of the card. And somehow I must have missed it on the editing, but I also attached that Santa Claus is Coming to Town sentiment, and I used some 1/8" score tape to do that. And that will complete card number 4. For card number 5, I'm going to trim out a panel from Nina Desert Storm cardstock. And for this, I'm using the Lawn Fawn Inside Out Stitched Scalloped Borders. This is the 2nd largest size. Here I'm laying out Mrs. Claus and that puppy and cat, and I'm going to stamp those using Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I'm going to use my Prismacolors to color this in, and I have sped it up quite a bit. If you're curious the exact colors I've used, I will have those listed on my blog post for you. I've trimmed out a panel measuring 4x5 1/4 from this green paper. And here I'll attach that to the front of my card base using my ATG gun. And then I decided I wanted to pop the panel that I had colored up, so I'm just going to place one layer of foam tape behind that. I grabbed a length of some red and white baker's twine. I'm going to wrap that around twice, and then I'll tie that into a bow. And then I'll go ahead and place that down on top of the card base. For the sentiment, I wanted to use this squad goals. I thought that was really adorable. So I went ahead and grabbed some scrap black cardstock, and I'm going to stamp this using Versamark ink, and then I will use Simon Says Stamp Detail White embossing powder to heat that. So I've trimmed out the sentiment. I'm going to add some banner edges on either side. And then originally I thought I would place that right in the center, but once I took a look at it, I decided it would look better off to the side so it can kind of balance out that bow at the top. And I just attached that again using my ATG gun. Then to finish things off, I grabbed my Signo Uniball black gel pen, and I'm just going to go over the eyes and the mouths and the whiskers just to make those pop a little bit. Sometimes when you use the Prismacolors, they can tend to dull the black. And that will complete card number 5. You'll find additional photos as well as a full list of supplies at my blog post listed in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.